Good morning. My name is Ebony Hatter of the Aspen University School of Education, and today I will be discussing organizational theory, structure, culture, and an organization is a tool people use to coordinate their actions to obtain something they value or desire according to our text. Plainly stated, it is a vehicle utilized by individuals to achieve their goal. The textbook also states that an organization is intangible, which would lead some to interpret this as being untouchable or unable to infiltrate a movement, if you will. It can also be defined as a body or a group of people with a common purpose who form an alliance to work toward fulfilling that purpose. When I reflect on the organization that I work for, purpose is what best describes why many of my colleagues have chosen to be a part of such an educational organization. We are purpose driven in the sense that the impact that we make for the organization is what we were created or designed to do. Now, I'm sure that we could still make some level of impact apart from the organization that we belong to. However, it may not be on as large a scale. We service over 2,000 underprivileged youth, and the organization is the vehicle that enables us to do so. That in itself is extremely powerful. Organizations were created to enable people to impact on an innumerable scale, and that is exactly what we do. In terms of creating value for our organization, Human Resources thoroughly screens and hires the most suitable and qualified candidates for a given position within my organization. In turn, school leadership works diligently to develop those individuals through various trainings, professional development, and coaching sessions. And as a result, many of those qualified candidates are able to successfully train and enrich others, presenting their work in terms of best practices and specialty content. This system not only does well in creating value for the organization, but it also shows staff that they are part of that value system and that their work is essential to organizational success. These individuals are often presented with opportunities for advancement, which for many who desire to move up in the ranks serves to drive a strong work ethic in those employees, which only increases organizational value all the more. The key measure of organizational effectiveness for any business is generally expressed in terms of how well its net profitability compares with its target profitability. As a school, leadership uses additional measures which include components such as growth data for students as well as teachers, staff retention, attendance, again, both for staff and students, successful community partnerships, and everyone's favorite, of course, standardized test scores. When a school organization proves to be successful in all of these areas, graduation rates increase, as well as enrollment, and as a result, so does state and government funding, thereby increasing the profitability of the overall organization. In discussing policies and procedures, I'd like to quote Helen Keller: "The highest result of education is tolerance." As the organization that I am employed through works tirelessly to maintain a reputation of being a culturally competent school, I think that quote fits nicely. A culturally competent school is one that honors, respects, and values diversity in theory as well as in practice, and where teaching and learning are made relevant and meaningful to students of various cultures. Our school's mission, which is to provide a rich bicultural academic program that inspires each student to make the most of their individual talents, supports that concept. Another policy that aligns with the mission statement in regard to respecting and valuing diversity is bullying. Many issues that lead to bullying are actually not issues at all, as they are motivated by a lack of respect for or fear of another's differences as it pertains to uniqueness and the individuality of another. In terms of effective implementation, our organization conducts periodic audits of recruitment, retention, and compensation to make certain that cultural competency gains are continual. They administer surveys of employee attitudes and opinion in an effort to heighten cultural competency. Within my organization, constant exposure to cultural themes helps to spread the message that diversity is normal, supported, and well accepted. Cultural competency is also used as a measure of performance. Incentives and rewards have been incorporated that are tied to cultural competency goal metrics and development, and continuous training and education is always readily available. New employees are oriented on our cultural competency policies, and existing employees, such as myself, are required to complete refresher courses to keep us current and from reverting back to old ways. In terms of bullying, our organization ensures that all of its students and school employees have an educational setting that is safe, secure, and free from harassment and bullying of any kind. Bullying and harassment of any type is not tolerated, and conduct that constitutes bullying and harassment is prohibited. Students and school employees are educated at the beginning of each school year about the bullying prevention policy. This information is articulated by school administrators in writing and informs school staff, parents, and others responsible for the welfare of our students the policy. This is also done through employee handbooks and through any other reasonable means that is necessary to ensure that the message of zero tolerance for bullying is conveyed. It is also made clear that all school employees are mandated reporters and should report any known bullying or harassment incidents. Supports have been put in place to include a school-based component to address intervention and assistance as determined appropriate by the intervention team. To discuss the implementation process, I chose the policies and procedures for bullying. I chose them because this is very personal to me, as globally we see various students committing suicide as a result of bullying. Not just at the high school level, but we also see it as early as elementary school. So I thought that this was important to discuss. The first step in implementation of the bullying process would be for me to identify critical needs by collecting and analyzing data, which encourages impartial, non-judgmental decision-making. With the analysis of reliable data, I could then pinpoint the areas of greatest concern. Areas could include mandated reporting, policy notification, investigation of reports, or supports. The next step would be to research and select evidence-based strategies that address the identified critical needs in step 1. By doing so, there's a greater likelihood of positive student outcomes if the strategy is implemented as outlined in the research. Also, there is the assurance that time and resources will go toward strategies that show evidence of achieving positive student outcomes. Third, I will plan for the implementation by continuing to focus on the critical needs identified by the process in step 1, identifying SMART goals, identifying the evidence-based strategies to use for this plan, a progress monitoring plan, and the action steps. This will be a multi-year plan as to give the organization an opportunity to make systemic changes. Change does not happen overnight, so that we have to give the plan a chance to work or a chance to see whether or not it will work. Next it would be time to implement and monitor the change. And finally, as a leadership team, we would have the plan examined, reflected upon, and adjusted as needed to suit the needs of our school environment. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Have an amazing day and the rest of the week.